City and Blistenfield. Oops. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
We're back on with another video. It's Monday night. We have already done the live on Facebook. If you hadn't had the opportunity to go see that, please do at Monica Boney on Facebook or YouTube at Moments with Queen Monica. Or Prophet Monica? Is it Prophet Monica? Okay. Moments with Prophet Monica Boney. And so I know that the live is going to bless you guys. But this is a different drum beat. Yeah. We got the generations merge and we're bridging the generations, as you all can see.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked this lovely lady what we're gonna talk about tonight, and guess what she said, y'all?
I said dating.
Oh, she said I said what I said. Now I said what I said. She said dating. So
and I qualify Christian dating.
Qualify Christian dating. You know something that was very odd, and I don't know if I want to share this because it's kind of like exclusive, and it may come in the future. So let me leave that for the future and not for the present. But I have to share something with you after this. Okay. Remind me, please.
I will.
Thank you, ma'am. So yeah, so she said dating within Christian guidelines. What does that look like?
Well, I think that the world we live in is so full of pulls, and there are so many standards that we are exposed to in the world today. Mm-hmm. So we don't know what is right as or what is wrong, what is acceptable, what is unacceptable. We really don't know unless it's being taught in the home. Mm-hmm. And I remember as a child, we're just talking, but I remember as a child, I used to watch soap operas, but my mom, I didn't like them. I didn't like them at all because the music was going, as the days of our life, as the world turned, and I was watching it, and I was like, Mom, all these people on here, all they do is swap partners. If somebody is always fussing because somebody slept with somebody else's husband, or it was just morally low, morally low. So if I had not been taught in home about what was acceptable as a Christian woman, that would have taught me a whole lot, and it would have been error.
Absolutely.
And so I think a lot of times parents are busy working. We're trying to go back to school because we didn't go to school before we had the children and before we got the marriage, and just no time to actually parent. Oh my God, the greatest thing is to be free, to actually spend your time with your children, which is your greatest production, your greatest thing that you can produce. And so a lot of girls, whether they're in church or not, they don't know how to date without compromise or date without getting themselves into circumstances that don't benefit.
Absolutely.
So one thing I think is that you have to understand that it's a certain age before you start. Your body might be screaming, but I think you have to be mature. There's a level of maturity that comes with dating, and a lot of times girls start dating way too young. They
just... So do you think 18 is the appropriate age for girls to start dating?
18, 19.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I because you're in high school. When you're in high school, you're in high school. You have so much work to do. I don't know. Maybe they don't work much now anymore, but in my school, in my day, I had homework at night and I had to do projects.
Wait, so is it or is it not okay? That's what I'm asking. I'm saying, is dating okay at the age of 18?
I'm saying 18, 19.
Yeah, 18, 19.
If you're in college, if you go to college, you don't need to be dating.
So you're saying that it's okay, but then you're saying that if they're
I'm saying if you're still learning and you're still trying to further your education.
So the answer is no.
No.
Right. Okay. No. Okay. No. Yeah, I don't think that 18 and 19, I don't think that you're developed enough and you don't have enough information about yourself, let alone trying to learn somebody else in the process. And that's destined for a mess to happen.
Yeah, right. Train wreck.
Hmm.
Train wreck.
Hmm. So what's the purpose of dating?
I think you date because that's the person you're planning on marrying.
Amen.
I don't think because a
Somebody.
lot of women just say well, I'm gonna date him because maybe their budget is not working, and so he gonna take me out Thursday. Johnny gonna take me out Friday, and you go like that. A lot of women live like that. That's how they eat their meals, and so and
Yeah.
so gonna get my nails done, and somebody else gonna pay my rent, and somebody a
Mhm.
lot of girls live that way.
Mhm.
I live that way, and a lot of men live that they just use women. The women just so gullible,
Mhm.
they just give them their money and
Mhm.
stuff like that. But I always tell men, don't give your money to another man's wife.
Hmm.
Bottom line,
Hmm.
and don't touch other women, another man's wife.
And so, what exactly does that mean? I know, but
Okay, good. I'm glad you
Mhm.
asked. So, um, you are talking to someone, and in your heart, you do not plan to marry them, and you know it. But you having every level of involvement in as if they were your wife.
Mhm.
And so now that girl has to fulfill a role as a single woman that she would do as though she was a wife.
Mhm.
And I will tell the man,
Jesus.
don't put your hands on another man's wife
Mhm.
because you're not planning to marry her.
Right. Right.
And she's putting her hand on another woman's husband
Mhm.
because she's not going. A lot of times the women want to marry, but the men don't, and they know it up front. They know up front
Mhm.
that no, this is not going to be my wife, but good little playhouse, right?
That's sad.
It is sad, but it's true.
It is true. It is true. I think even amongst this generation, especially, you mentioned earlier the economy that we're facing up against at the time. At this time, it
Mhm.
has the inflation is going skyrocket. Gas. I mean, you name it. Everything has gone up as a whole, and I see where it is a lot of young couples are partnering and living under the same roof and are not married. And I think that was one of the things that was shunned by the older generation, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Like
they call it
they
shacking.
call it shacking, and they say don't be shacking. And listen, I'm a young person, but I'm here for it. Like, do not be shacking because what are some of the things that come along with shacking?
Well, number one is sin into your own body.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one. Number two, it's an open space
Mm-hmm.
that you allow someone to come in, and that person has doesn't deserve the space,
Right.
and you giving all you have, all you got, and you're thinking permanency, and you're thinking, well, maybe. Some people played the game just like everybody else, but the point of that is this is all you are.
Mm-hmm.
I keep trying to tell people that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it rings home
Right.
that who you are is all you are. And when you give who you are away, then that's who you've given away. Where
Mm-hmm.
are you?
Mm-hmm.
Where are you? What is this? It's like I'm a queen. I'm a queen and I'm worthy of a king.
Mm-hmm.
And if the king don't show up, then I'll just be a queen.
Mm-hmm. Period.
Period.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, I think that the saying they say you don't have to buy the cow when you can get the milk for free. It
Yeah.
definitely has.
Mama used to say that. No, she used to say, a fisherman, even fishers, they gotta have license to fish, but you would let them fish you free with
Mm-hmm.
no paper. Yeah, she would
Mm-hmm.
say that all the time.
Mm-hmm. And then at the end of it all, you'll be feeling left and depleted. I think you do open up your space, yourself for another space of vulnerability when you are shacking with someone, and of course when you're intimate with them. But that's the space that's supposed to be between you and God and your family that's already around you. But when you invite somebody into your home, I mean, and that's why it's a whole nother level of commitment that's supposed to be present
Mm.
when you live under the same roof with somebody
Mm.
because I mean, partnership on every level, including them in bills and including them in the decisions that you're making that pertains to your life. They have to have something that says, I'm here to stay. And then that's another thing I see where like a lot of people they make all this huge investment into this person, and then at the end of it all, when they're broken up, because it don't even require a divorce, but when they're broken up and they decide to go their separate ways, now they have more legal things to divide up because they have made an investment in something that wasn't going to yield forth the fruit that they put in. And that I can only imagine like what that has to feel like. I'm sure there's a lot of brokenness that comes along with that, because I think that even as a couple get married or whatever, and um that's another space that God gives intentionally for married people. I think it's another space of even bonding, I would say. It's designed, it's all created for God, unto God. And so
yeah, he's the glue. He's the glue to it all. And it's like a triangle. This is man, this is woman, and this is God. So if you want it, the triangle is going to be like that unless you put God there. The pieces won't connect. And so as long as we're triangular in our relationship, we can expect a positive outcome. But if I've come from a home that nobody talked to me about such a thing, and I'm attracted to this man because he looks good. We like good lookers, and women like good lookers, and men like good lookers. We know. So you're attracted to that because it's a good look.
Right.
But if that person hasn't had the information that you have, or you don't have the information that he has, then you're open for a conflict.
Right.
You're open for that. And so we have to have more than just physical appearances that we're attracted to. We have to have more than that.
Absolutely.
I'm not against it now, but I don't think it's the essence of it all.
It's not the essence of it all.
No.
It's not the essence of it all. And I think someone, even last night when we were at church, they said you play with fire and you get burned. And then they asked the audience, they said, what is fire? And fire is getting pregnant. And so that's some of the things that we don't think about in our process of shacking. But at the end of the day, are we shacking with somebody that we think is going to be responsible enough to even watch after our child? And not even only that, not even the space of responsibility, but are we checking their bloodline and seeing what type of seeds are going to be manifested in the earth realm through us, through this union? And that's and I was listening to a podcast one time, and I believe, I don't want to quote, I don't want to say who name because I don't know for sure, but I want to make sure y'all know that this is not something that I came up with, but I really think that it was icing on the cake. Anyways, they said that that the government stole Planned Parenthood from the union of marriage, because you are supposed to the parenthood piece is supposed to be planned. That's what God desires for us to do. He desires for us to get married and then have the children. But we using Planned Parenthood for alternative route to take and steal God's creation.
Oh yeah, life. Taking a life. That's a mess.
That is a mess. That's a mess within itself. But she mentioned something about not growing up in a home that displayed love and affection. And so what does a proper relationship look like within the confines of dating? Because even earlier when we was talking about dating, we said that dating is preparation for marriage. So what is dating? I mean, what does it entail? How does it look?
Well, at that moment in time, what you're trying to do is learn the person. And if you have not been anywhere with them, that's not the norm. You have to know what happens when he gets angry or when she becomes angry. You have to know what happens when stress shows up.
Yep.
You have to know what happens, like for women, when we have our cycles and we all in our feelings. Okay.
Yep.
You need to be able to see that. The man needs to see that, and the woman needs to know what happens when he would go apply for a job and he didn't get it, or he thought he was going to get a promotion and he didn't make it, and he come home disgruntled and dismayed.
Yeah.
What is that? Look, what is that? And is that something I can manage? Can I look at your weaknesses and not allow it to make me frustrated? Am I able to? And that's why you need that type. And then you need to see what it's like. How's it like with his parents?
That's very
What's
important.
going on with the parents? What's going on with the family? What kind of relationship exists? Whether or not this man loves his mother, or whether or not this woman can love her father, or have had a space and time where it's a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
The relationship is unhealthy. Two things happen when you enter a relationship, and well, maybe more than two, but these are two that come to mind quickly. Is that you want that person to fulfill what you didn't have? That's not fair.
That's not fair.
That's not fair at all. It's not their role to be what
God.
No, that's not fair. Yeah. And so it's so important. That's what dating does, and that's why I say you don't need to do it until you're ready to be emotionally stable. You know, if you got daddy mama issues, you need to get well before you marry somebody. If you got any kind of issue, you need to be well, because that is going to require much of you. Relationships is work.
It's definitely work.
It just don't happen just because you said I want one. It's work, you know. And yeah, a lot of times we have fairy tale views about what it's like. And at the end of the day, you disappointed because you're like, it ain't supposed to go like that.
Right. And I think during the space of dating and discovering what their background looks like, the family relationship with their mother and their father, and you identify a space where there is brokenness, we have to very much so make sure that we're whole, that we don't desire to be needed.
Yeah,
because that's another space of brokenness. But what happens as well, I can only imagine, is that now you're dating this person, and actually maybe even you might even get married to this person, and they're not healed and they're not whole yet. Say for instance, God just blesses them to where they become healed. Now some people may not desire the healed person.
Right.
Because of the brokenness that's in them.
I've seen that happen.
That's like
I've seen that happen. You were better when you was on weed and drugs. I like you. I had more fun when you was this way. Yeah. I've seen that happen.
Yeah. So that's why even in the process of dating and learning a person, what God showed me the other day, I was reading the word. It was so beautiful because he just like dropped some characteristics of himself on me, and he right then and there, he said, are these people that you're talking to or whatever, or if you open yourself up for dating, these are some of the characteristics that they need to possess, because I am God the Father. But to identify God in another person, the fruit has to be evident. And if the fruit is not evident, you're making a mistake. And if the fruit is evident, it's not always somebody that you're supposed to date.
And that's the part I wanted to bring in. Because not all the time, because this person has characteristics that we admire or that we feel we can live with, that doesn't mean that that's my husband.
Yeah.
That does not mean that. Sometimes it's just friendship. Sometimes you are the ones who get ready to drop some seed in that life, and so some cultivation can come forth. It doesn't mean that that's the husband. And even after you have had, even if you've met somebody who had the exact same background, it's just not the indication that that's the right one. Not the indication.
And that's why it's so important for you to have an anchor. And like for me personally, like I used to despise it. I think I'm more welcoming to it now because I understand the importance of it. But I would let her know who I'm talking to, or whatever the case is. And because sometimes in our process, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is because she just said they may have all the characteristics that make us googly eyed. So we googly eyed, but we need somebody that's sober, that can give us their perspective, their wisdom, their discernment, because our googly eyes could cause us to fall real quick. I know several situations where I became googly eyed. I'm a little different now. Thank you, Father. It has been a process. It has been a journey, but in the process of it, googly eyed and thought that things went a certain way to only find out that they did that they were not like that. But had I had the anchor, or had I heeded to the words of wisdom at that time, I would have had a different outcome, and it would have been sooner. Because the thing is, when your discernment is on, your discernment is on, and God will show. And also, that's to the piece where we have to sometimes allow ourselves time, because God does show some things instantly, but then other things take time. And so
That's why you can't
take
jump
the
in.
time, that it is necessary to see what's what. Like she said, see them in all their seasons. I think that's even the world's way. Even the world agree with that piece of
Mhm.
seasons. What they like during the fall, the summer, when they hot, when they cold. Because me, if I'm hot, I'm hot.
It's a
Okay.
A whole mess.
They whoever he is, he gotta learn. No no tips, no tips.
Oh, she's overcoming.
Hallelujah.
Glory to God.
I got a jacket on in the house.
It's because it's cool
That's
in
a
here.
step. That's a step.
It's cool in here.
Anyways, y'all. So that's dating.
Oh, and the other thing
Mhm.
too, where guidelines is that you need to date when you start dating. You are not date alone.
Mhm.
I really believe in couples. I believe in couple dating. I believe that it's easier to keep yourself out of snares. It's like, and I don't believe in going out late at night for dates and stuff like that. No, as much as you can, you need to do it in the daytime
Amen.
and be, get home at a certain hour so that you will establish a rapport, a
Mhm.
level of respect,
A level of respect. That
and
part.
I don't care. A lot of people saying, well, that's old fashioned. Well, the new fashion has caused a lot of pain,
Yeah.
a lot of hurt, a lot of disappointment. I just was coming out the house the other day, and this lady was with this man 23 years, and this man have cheated on her. He kicked her out the house. He did everything on the sun. It's like, wait a minute, that's not how they go.
That's not how they go.
You don't be with somebody 23 years and they treat you like that.
Right.
That's wrong. And the other thing is, probably when she told me what his name was, it sounded like Lucifer. The name itself was like Lucifer or something. Hmm? Oh, hey, camera. So anyway,
Mhm.
it was disheartening for me. I felt sad for her that you know that she had to be treated this way.
Yeah.
And a lot of times your pick is just not working.
Yeah.
And that's why you need a community.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you need a community. So, what you think about him? Mm, mm. And a lot of times, the friends know.
The friends be knowing.
They know.
But they be having your back, because sometimes we can be so bullheaded. We don't see early on, and we
Mhm.
don't want to listen to nobody else because we think we have all the answers. And also, I want to put a time stamp on or an age stamp on the fact of having information because you're older, because I have seen older people fall as well. And what I believe that needs to happen is that you need to seek out wisdom.
That's right.
Wisdom. I'm not, of course, I don't necessarily always see the fruit of wisdom in a younger person, but like our relationship, thankfully, I have wisdom because she pours wisdom into me. And, of course, the word of God, blase, blase.
Mhm.
But all I'm saying is, because I have seen older people be married but miserable.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was simply because I don't even think it had so much to do with age, because at the time before they got married, they already had 2 kids. So I don't even think that it was so much of the age piece, but I do believe that it was the lack of information. And I mean, I know this is not supposed to be ministry or anything like that, but I want to apologize to those who have not got the wisdom that they need in order to make a wise decision.
Mhm.
I want to say I'm sorry for that being your portion, that being your experience. I also want to say that God is faithful. He's able to recover the time.
Mhm.
Because it's as a child, as a child, in a family, and I'm speaking generically across the board, as a child in a family who has parents that are together but they're unhappy, sometimes that child does not get that information that's needed, and so they have to make 1,001 mistakes because their parents did not set that example to you, but God.
And
But
that's the
God.
word I was hearing.
Mhm,
Example.
mhm,
You have to have an example. You have to have an example. One of the speakers was saying that, my daughter's doing this, my daughter's doing that, but what are you doing?
Yep, I remember that.
What are you doing? Get yourself together.
Mhm,
And then your daughter might change. Matter of fact, because the example
mhm,
that the daughter is seeing is coming from you.
mhm.
And what you do in moderation, more than likely, the children will do in excess.
Yeah, and it's
So, in keeping in line with the dating, a lot of times people can't date successfully because they haven't had an example.
they haven't had an example.
They don't know. And so I hope that as we're talking, the information on how to be successful in the dating is to wait. Number one, don't be so anxious to jump into
Don't be anxious.
dating relationships.
Don't be
Don't be
anxious.
anxious to do that. Number two, if you do, make sure that you are whole
Mhm.
and you're looking at somebody that
Yes.
your intent is to be a wife and not a sideshow, sidekick,
None of that.
dish of ice cream for the lonely nights.
Oh Jesus.
You don't want to be that. You want to be knowing that this person is
Mhm.
someone that I can look to and to live my life
Yeah.
successfully with. I'm not dating just so I can get lunch, dating so I can get my nails done, or dating so that I could uh, go to the movies. I'm not dating for that reason. My reason for dating is because eventually I want to be a wife,
You want to be a wife.
and I don't want to date somebody that's not going to be a possible,
Mhm.
right? So that's and then I don't want to date and put myself in a compromising position.
That part.
Whereas I may have boundaries in terms of my what I accept, what I want to do for my. I remember, never forget, I was dating someone who's deceased right now, but anyway, and he started clawing and pawing at me. I said, "Oh, stop! This is not what I want for my life." And his question was, "Well, what do you want?"
Yeah, they begin to get aggressive.
Yeah, and a
when they don't
bad
get their way.
attitude, and I was like, okay, well, I see where this is going nowhere fast, And if I knew, it's just I knew I didn't want to be that kind of woman. I knew that, and he wasn't trying to support it. So if you don't have those morals in place, you'll flow any kind of way. Any way the wind blows, you coming.
And that goes back to, if you have not had the example, if you had not have the example, ask God to send you a mentor that is willing to talk to you and instill that worth and instill that value into you so that you can wait. Because during the time of transition from singleness to dating, God desires for us in our areas of insecurity, it's in our areas of loneliness, in our area, all of our areas of lack, to dive into Him more so that we can become whole, so that we can be okay. Because the whole after you start dating and after you get married, it ain't over.
But singleness is not the reason that I'm dating because I'm single. No, you're dating because you're trying to be married. That's why you're dating, because in this respect, you can have friends, but that's why everybody's together and you laugh and talk and you can learn things from each other. Yes, you can. But if this started out with a love interest, you in trouble already, because that person, now you're saying, "Oh, I just want to be friends," and they didn't have that in their mind. They didn't have friendship in their mind. So well, I thought, I liked you. I thought you liked me. It's a way that you have to establish it in the beginning,
right?
And so in dating, I am not just dating you because I met you at the grocery store. I met you at the I don't know, gym or whatever. That's not what I'm doing. I am asking God to lead and guide me in the way. And I like Whitney just said, this podcast is not necessarily a religious podcast or live or whatever this is, but we're trying to give information so that those who didn't get it might be able to see some ways and means to how to better their life. I'm still single, but I already picked my niece picked my wedding dress, and I believe that God's going to do a thing. He's going to do a thing, but I have no desire to compromise.
Amen.
In order to get that thing done.
Amen.
And I know that God is greater than that. He's
Exactly.
greater than that. So
exactly.
In dating, you don't want to just go with somebody because they say they're gonna buy your lunch. That's not good. That's no good.
Not at all.
Because now you're using a person.
Absolutely.
You don't want to be used, and you don't want to use others.
Absolutely.
You don't want to do that.
Absolutely. And if you are already in a dating relationship, meaning that it's both give and take. When I say relationship, I want to offer this piece because it was something that amazed me, especially as someone who thought little and low of myself, and having someone come into my life and be willing to take me out to lunch or whatever the case might be. I always felt like, no, it's for me to do this. It's for me to do this. And so if you're on that side of the stick, I want to tell you that it is okay. Because actually that gives a man a sense of security, and you don't want to tear a man down in his process of pursuing you because you can't accept a simple lunch. I mean, that was his desire. He planned it out, and y'all not together, so you don't have to tell him how to manage his finances. Okay, so I just wanted to offer that as well. You are worthy of a meal. if it is indeed time for you to date, period, point blank, and you will know in your spirit. Follow the unctioning. Don't be in a relationship and have anxiety. When you have anxiety, that's a clear indication that this is not for you. When something interrupts your peace, that means this is not for you. So don't even force it.
If it don't fit,
Jesus, you gotta quit. Okay, quit it. Stop playing. Anyways, we've exceeded our time here. We could talk all day on this dating stuff because
but just take away that you wait till you mature.
Yeah.
Take away that you don't try to do this immaturely. Take away that you need to have someone who has the care for their husband, their family, and they respect you, and you have your own moral set. Take away that you need to do it with groups. You don't need to, just go out with anybody, and you need to do it in a decent hour. Don't be out late at night. My mama used to say, at a certain time of night, nothing's open but legs.
Well, that's all for today.
So take away. It's a good thing. And then you get to be a mom, and you have to tell your children. You don't just have to teach them stuff you didn't do. You do what you model for them. That's beautiful.
So take away, date, and she said in group, but also have an anchor that will instill wisdom in you. Take away, actually, paying close attention to the word of God and seeing godly characteristics in whoever you're dating. Take away, don't just be sold on godly characteristics alone. Actually have some chemistry, like the person, for goodness sake.
Yeah, I was saying, I gotta say this, and I'm gonna be true. Talking to this girl, I've been talking to her on and off. She's talking about this guy. She was saying yada 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 yada, and she said something about this, and I said, well, you might not be able to articulate it while you're talking to him, so write him a letter. So she wrote a letter. Today she told me she's so happy that she wrote the letter because it exposed the things that she had questions about.
That's good.
And it turns out that he is not aggressive in terms of 35 years old, and he still haven't figured out what he wants to do. And she came from a family that they work and they get it, and they make it happen. And she was like, oh, that's perfect, because I don't want anybody in my world like that. Isn't that beautiful? So she had enough time, enough information, enough communication to see the things that would make her put on the brakes, even though he's nice, and she says nice look and all of that. But that's not enough to hold a relationship.
So have standards, have morals, have boundaries.
and know what you can live with. Don't compromise. Can't live with it, don't take it.
Can't live with it, don't take it. All right, y'all. Peace out.